What up, what up, what up, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. Two mics up. Back again, yo. We doing it, man. New year, episode 202. Rocking with two of the greatest gentlemen that I know and have the pleasure of sitting down with and chopping up with each and every week. Big A Sam Adams, top to my right, and my brother Clifton Durham. Gentlemen, how we doing this evening?
Good, good, good.
Hey, look,
Glad to
Cliff,
be
I'll let you
here.
take the helm on that one.
No doubt. No doubt.
Look,
Doing good with, 50-50, you know.
50-50. Hey, look, it's Tuesday, right?
50.
It can only get better. It can only get better as we move towards the week. We got a holiday weekend coming up, Martin Luther King. And this conversation really sitting back and looking at it, man, just kind of looking forward, as we move into 2026 with the holiday. Tonight we're gonna be talking about black culture, the community and power as we move forward in 2026. That's really the theme. But there's so much that's been going on, like it does, hell, every day now. That we wanted to kind of touch on some
Mm-hmm.
things, and really was struggling as where to start. And I think we're gonna start with sports because we've just seen, not even 2 hours, 3 hours, we see Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This brother has been there 18 years, 19 years. I'm sorry. Second long, longest tenure dude in the league. And now he's stepping away. And we were talking about it behind scenes. But I want to start with you, Cliff. Like looking at this, one is a loss when we look at it as a man of color. But what is your take, when you look at Mike Tomlin and his career and his time in Pittsburgh, what comes to mind when you think of him and his time there?
The word rare, right?
Mm,
How many coaches in the NFL we have that has that long of a tenure, one team that's still coaching right now?
right.
So rare. Also, at the same time, it's time for a change, right?
Mm,
It's time for a change. You know, I feel he needs to go somewhere. And listen, there's a lot of coaches that's available right now, but him going somewhere, he's definitely going to go somewhere. If not, then we're going to have a whole new conversation next week, right?
right.
Um, but he's definitely going to get picked up uh, by another team. He should be able to close his eyes and choose. I think he
Mm,
did earn that
right.
right? Because of his tenure, because of the success. Correct. He has a good
Yep.
his winning percentage. So that doesn't negate the fact that he should have been able to open doors for comrades
Mm-hmm.
like him. All right.
Agreed. Agreed.
Um, he set the bar, and he let them know that can be done. So look to Mike Tomlin, man. Always respected him and liked him as a coach.
Yep.
It, I just, he can. Now it's either between him or Harbaugh that's going to go to the Giants. That's what
You
somebody,
think?
that's what somebody behind the scenes told me. I
Well, I'm
said
going.
that's what somebody behind
Okay.
the scenes told me. So we'll
All
see.
right.
We'll
All right,
see.
well, look, I'm going ahead. I'm gonna let the volley and the lob go. We gonna go Sam. What say you, bruh?
Hey, look, I don't know where his destination is going to be. The bigger question is whether or not he wants to go to another location. I mean, 19 years in the game, and he's still young too. So there's still some
Mm-hmm.
longevity there. You think about everything that he accomplished while he was out there in Pittsburgh. Had a plus 500 record throughout the 9-year tenure that he was there.
Yeah.
Won a championship in the middle of it. The dominoes, when you look at the latter part, I mean, it was just a lot of other formalities in there too. You had a
Yeah.
QB carousel that was going on.
Yeah.
The dominant players that you had on defense, they weren't clicking on all cylinders, and just trying to piece and cultivate that caused a couple of challenges and everything too. But if this was his swan song and he wanted to just sit back and You know, maybe we'll see him on, Fox Sports in the morning or NFL in the
Right.
morning or something like that. He could kind of go to that trend with Cowher. But, once again, like I said, I don't even think he capped out at 50 yet. So there's still the opportunity for him to sit there and go to another team, reshape it, whether it's the Giants or another location, and just cultivate that same winning. You want to coach that, not only go to win for you, but get the buy-in from, the team to want to play for him too. And I really think Mike Tomlin has that charisma or that aura about him that can sit there and revamp, any program that he goes to.
Yeah, it's almost unheard of. We talked about it last week. When you look at guys like Tomlin and Harbaugh, who've been the staples of these franchises for so long, and both of them deserve really, like you both said, I think they deserve the right to pick and choose
Right.
what their next
Right.
phase or stage may look like. Um, Tomlin, man, I've said it a lot, the last couple of weeks when we talk about it. I just don't understand how a fan base can be. I know you want to win. I understand championships are the end result. But when you have a consistent chance where you're one of 7 teams, it seems like every year in each conference, that means there's, almost 14, 15 other teams that are not even in the conversation every year. And to just be disgruntled in a way to where you want to run someone out, I think it's a little disheartening. And again, I would love to have that. As a Giants fan, we haven't seen that
What?
in. You understand what I'm saying? We haven't
What?
seen that in a decade or more, right? So I would love to see that. But looking at that with these changes, though, I hear you both saying, Tomlin. I don't know if he's going to come back as a coach. He can with his age, and we all understand that. But I
Right.
think for almost 20 years on the grind, I don't know. Sometimes maybe you lose that love, and I don't see him going backwards, like coming to a team like the Giants. I don't see Harbaugh coming to a team like a Giant, like the Giants. They will, that rebuild may be too much. But are there any teams out there maybe you guys see on the horizon? Let's just say if they were to be able to go ahead and just fall in line, the teams that are available right now, do you see either one of them being a fit? And let's just leave it to Harbaugh, because Tomlin right now, since he walked away, I want to give him his reprieve. But when it comes to Harbaugh, like, do you see one where he just slides right in right now, and like that's the team, that he's going to be able to elevate right away and have an impact on, and move them forward in the playoffs? And I'll kick that to you, Cliff.
Well, I'm a realist, right? No matter how much I love my Giants, I would love to have the best coach and the best running back and this, that, and the
Right.
third. Um, if I'm horrible, I mean, obviously, oh my goodness, and I gotta say this in front of him, I will go to Green Bay, right? You take the injuries away, you look at their defense. I mean, the team is already cooked up. Right now, we
Right.
just need the extra ingredient to go further than what they did in the correct minor mistakes that LaFleur was making. You know what I mean? I love this. That be killing me. Be like LaFleur. Yo, Steven, they be killing me. I love when he say that, um, but
You
that
took that man named Canadian.
yeah, you said LaFleur, but even Baltimore, something strange happened this season with Baltimore, but I can still I would, if I'm Harbaugh, yeah, I could see going to Green Bay. I don't know anybody else. I'm thinking I
Maybe
don't know
Atlanta.
no
I
other
hear
team
Atlanta. I
that
hear
would give
Atlanta.
up. Yeah, Atlanta, but see, with Atlanta signing Matt Ryan, now there's a different opinion in there.
Okay.
If they
Well,
would
yeah.
have, they could have got him before Matt Ryan signed that dotted line. Now, it's going to be a different opinion that I don't know if Matt's gonna roll with that, but we'll see. But you're right, to your point, Atlanta. But I would definitely look at Green Bay healthy on the defense.
Well, we know I think the news came out that LaFleur is staying in Green Bay. They not getting rid
Oh,
of him right now. So that would be, and I agree with you. I think we talked about it, before we came on. That
Sam
would be
didn't like that. He
ideal.
didn't like.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to go back to it, because I
Hey,
wanted to ask Sam. I know we talk behind the scene, but like, if that was an opportunity, would that be something you think that your squad should jump on?
Hell yeah. And that's in the nutshell right there. I think the bigger
No
I think the
question.
bigger question with all of this is, yeah, I think the bigger question with all of this is what team. I don't want to say that John Harbaugh got a whole bunch of demands and everything, but he's requesting a lot as far as like what he's looking for to become a head coach in a new program. I
Right.
actually feel like the, when you look at all the openings, because I believe it's like 8 of them right now. To me,
Mm-hmm.
the most prime one actually is with the New York Giants. And the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why I say that is because of two people, doggone Jackson Dart and my boy Scatterboo.
Yeah.
Scatterboo.
Yeah.
I
It's the
think,
move. Yeah.
with those two tandems right there, like, with those two tandems right there, like, I think that John could sit there and you know, develop around them because that's the key thing. You already know that Jackson Dart is your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Um, you got one hell of a doggone running back with Scatterboo. You still got a couple of receivers and everything. Maybe kind of like reshape and revamp the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they would be the best team poised to move forward. There's too many liabilities when you look at the other teams. When you look at Miami, what's their QB situation? Are they keeping
Right.
Tua? Are they
Yeah.
going to go ahead
Yeah.
and say that Evers is the future? You look at Atlanta's in that same boat because you got it's unpredictable with Michael
Penix.
Penix
Penix.
and
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins. Is
Yeah.
both of them are both of them are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to that. The same issue when you look out west with a lot of the other teams there. So if I wanted to step in, I I would reshape it too. I wouldn't even probably deal with any of the AFC teams that are out there that has vacancies. Let me go ahead and take my talents to the NFC. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
saying? And when you look at
Yeah.
that division too, like let's just keep it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Philly's shaking up. Dallas is still Dallas right now. You know what I'm saying? And the Commanders
Right.
is still in this weird space in time too. So if I'm gonna sit here and if I want to step on a division, I think New York would be in the NFC East would probably be the spot that I would want to go to. But that's just me. Like it could change,
No.
throughout that
Hey,
course. But I really think that he could sit there and like reshape and revamp that squad.
I would
I
love
love
it.
you. I love it.
Yeah, right. And in the
I love
ideal
what you're
world, I
saying.
love it. I love what I do. Like, and I see it, but like I say, my thing is that scatterable, like I said, when your leg is supposed to be this way, but it's pointing this way, like it's a gruesome injury. It's going to take time. Don't know if he's going to be the same mentally. One, to get back in that space. So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know I wasn't high on Jack on Dart when they first got him, but I've become a believer. I do believe he has that
Yeah.
talent. I do believe he has that next level capability. So that's great. Malik Neighbors got hurt, so we'll know he'll get him back. But I'm going to be honest with you, the offensive line, I have no faith in. We've done nothing right over the last 7 years to fix that. So until we fix that, it's going to be an issue. The back end of the defense needs some work because our corners and our safeties, garbage. So so there's a lot. And I just think at this stage, not in his career, but in his life, he's what, 64, 65 years old. I think the window is real small. And I don't know if he's in the mental space to want to rebuild versus going somewhere that gives him a better chance. And there's not many out there, but I think there are other places like Atlanta. Like you said, Miami's got one of those weird places, but they have a lot of talent, that and they're covered more than what New York has right now. So I just think it's about the right fit and him wanting to win now versus rebuild. And I mean, we're going to see how this plays out because I mean, he's the domino in all of this. But there's another side to
Right.
this too.
But
Like,
let me ask you this,
uh,
Dame. You don't think
mhm,
that
mhm.
no, I was just gonna ask you real quick, you don't think with a name like John Harbaugh
Oh
going
yeah, yeah,
to New York that
yeah.
that would change the landscape and actually have players, especially when you
Want to
look at
come
the free
there?
agency market or
Oh, I
those who might
agree.
be on
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
option to sit there and
Hmm.
lean on the Giants. So I think that would sit there and alleviate.
I
And depending on the autonomy that he's looking for, I think even when it comes to the draft picks and everything in the selection, that would give him more of an opportunity to sit here and with those questionable areas that you're talking about, as far as the O line and the secondary, like strengthen that. Once again, you got your star player, so let me go ahead and put those pieces around there.
So you're 200% right when it comes to that. But here's the part I think that some of us and people overlook with the Giants. So just the front office alone, there's a lot of questions around John Mara and his mental state and where he is, as an owner. And I think that plays a big part in what's happening. What's happening? That plays a big part right now. What's going on in the front office? And a lot of people, they really don't talk about it, but that has been an issue lately with the level and the input of his ownership on what happens. So I think just again, being someone of Harbaugh's status, yes, he would be the ideal person to drive, players to want to have interest in coming to New York, but there's still that front office part with the money and different things and those type of mechanisms that go on that are going to impact that. And I don't know right now if that's something, again, if I'm at 65 and I want to win now before I go out, I don't know if I want to deal with an added burden of not necessarily a Jerry Jones, but sometimes a missing in action owner that is not really there to really give you the support. You know what I'm saying? So that's been a problem, and it's become more of a problem recently with the Giants than people realize. So yes, ideally as a fan, I would love to have him because I agree with you. I think he would draw, these type of players that would show interest, but he can't cut the check either. And that whole other mechanism kind of falls into it. So that's why I'm hesitant. But I do want to ask, like, looking at this, these coaching changes and these hires, the Rooney Rule is still in effect in the NFL. Like, with diversity, because we've seen how diversity has been removed throughout company culture, in America and corporate culture. Is that still really a thing, or has it really just been there in name over the last several years? And are we just kind of playing, smoke and mirrors at this point? And I start with you, Sam.
Man, why me? Okay. I'm gonna say yes, because you look at it every year, and it's talked about almost every year once we start moving towards the off season and vacancies that open up, as well as talented black coaches, whether they're a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, special teams, running backs. They have a position that they sit here and with their previous, with the current team, they're sitting here and they making moves and everything. But then when it comes to a lot of these openings and everything, you kind of see the same coaches get rehired again, or they'll throw like a curveball. And don't get me wrong, I know some coaches at the collegiate level is ready to make that next move. What throws me off is when we start picking people from the CFL, and I'm just like, you didn't have nowhere else to go to look for actual talented coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it goes back to old money, which sucks because, the old money sits here and they get to pick and choose, especially when it comes to these franchises, who the coach should and shouldn't be. But, we're kind of stalemating. And I think that's where we're going to allude to later on down the road of like how hard it is for some of our black coaches to get some of these opportunities.
Yep.
When are they going to be, you look at D'Amico
Ryans.
I'm sorry. I want to say, D'Amico Ryans, what he's doing out there in Houston, or Todd Bowles when he had the opportunity. They're so far and few in between. We don't have that many black coaches in the league, but like, we'll see what happens, with these 8 opportunities or these 8 vacancies. Like, are some of these NFL teams are going to take advantage of that and give other black coaches, an opportunity? And it's not even a Rooney Rule. It's more or less like just giving them that opportunity. Like, I think they showed their mettle and their worth, to make it to that next level. So if that door is open, why don't you just let them in and give them an opportunity? Because one or two things are going to
Yeah.
happen. Either they're going to sit here and be successful, or
Or they're
they're
not.
not going to be able to turn anything around, and
That part.
they'll get
Yeah.
fired just like everybody else. But stop sitting here. Uh, if a white coach sat here and sat in the seat and they were shit or shitty wherever they were at, that's probably going to be that trend them going to another team. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have that same consistency. There's just going to be somewhere else. And main thing that, look, I love Mike McCarthy. I love what he did for Green Bay, but he had like a downtrend towards the end of his coaching opportunity.
And he's been.
And then
he's
we
been
see
trash.
him move south to Dallas, and yeah. And it was the same result. So like when you see that, you know what I'm saying? And I know that there's plenty of others that are out there too that we could bring up, but that's the first one that comes to mind to me, just because like yeah, he was successful back then. You know what I'm saying? But like his losing streak and him not taking teams over the hump, like that was really consistent while he had his tenure out there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
So, just I'm not even I just want coaches, like it shouldn't be based off of the color of your skin. Like if you're on and popping, let's see if you can take it to the next level.
Let's see if you can do it.
That's right.
But yeah, it's just
that,
unfortunate where we're at. Then we're back to square one. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to coaching, coaches that we think they should be moving to that next level. Next thing you know, either they're still in that same position, or they're not even in the mix anymore.
It's one of those things where we're in rare air, and we talk about fandom and different things, and this really kind of harks to something that Cliff was talking about last week. We were joking, about his FanDuel bet and different things, and we're going to get into the college football thing in a minute, but it just made me think, like, as streaming and betting in sports has really kind of overtaken it, like traditional fans, right? Like back in the day, you were a traditional fan mostly. And this is really for you, Cliff, because I thought of you on this. Like, are we losing like that soul, if you will, of Black sports? Because a lot of times that's centered around the barbershop, for men, those barbershop debates, community storytelling places, water cooler talk, because COVID kind of came in and kind of threw that off. So like I'm curious to hear your side or your take on like streaming and sports betting overtaking traditional sports today.
Well, that's one thing that drew me about Two Mics Up, right? That's what wanted me to. I wanted to join the squad to get on it because y'all saw that missing, right, in sports and with streaming. So you can't the future's not going away. Future's in podcasting, right? Future's in streaming.
Right.
So what did you do? You took sports and had to put it back in, right? To make it, give it more of that soul that we used to do in the barbershops. There's a few barbershops that you still can discuss it in, but even face it, even that world is changing up. You're in suites now. A lot of barbers and stuff got suites. It's just you and the barber. So unless you and the barber's kicking it and talking about sports, other than that, that's not even there.
True.
I just want to go back to one quick thing. The Rooney Rule, right? How effective is the Rooney Rule? How many youngins really know about what the Rooney Rule is? I explained it to my son. Young people, they're always going to say stuff that makes you go, like back in the day, right? So I said to my son, I said, do you know what the Rooney Rule is? So I broke it down to him. I said, the Rooney Rule basically is that a minority in professional sports, or football and football, should at least have the teams have to, the organizations have to at least give one minority an interview, right? And when that Rooney Rule came, our generation above that was like, okay, we're moving somewhere. But my son's generation is going to be like, just one, a minimum of one. How come it's not a minimum of 5? How come it's not a minimum of 10? He also asks, how effective is the Rooney Rule when a non-minority is getting coaches positions the next day after somebody else get fired? But we'll talk about that another time. Just something to,
No,
really.
you bring it up because that's really what it's all about. How effective has it been, really? And like you said, from our aspect, when we first heard, because I know I was the same thing. When I first heard, I was like, oh, okay, we're making progress. It's baby steps,
Right.
right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But when we look at the history of it, you're right. There have been times that today's Monday, you interview, for the head coaching job with, ABC Miracles. Tom down the block came in the following day and gets hired on the spot. No coaching real record. You have a pedigree. You
Right.
start out special
Mhm.
teams, moved up to defensive head, you got a pedigree. But Tom down the block, he was just down there in junior college. He was down at Savannah Junior College. He was
He's
basically
ready.
the head water boy.
Right.
But his
Right.
brother
Right.
or his brother-in-law got ends with the teams and get the job. So there have been instances like that, and some of them has paid off. Because I damn, I was just thinking about it. One of the your boy in Dallas, he's a Schottenheimer, but he was a special teams coach. Somewhere else, so I forget, but he gets the head coaching job in Dallas. Like that, those are the things that are unheard of, but because of his name, and his family tree. But this dude was a special teams coach. He gets the head coaching job, but I'm pretty sure, like you said, you had guys like Todd Bowles and all these other guys that are out there that have put in time and work. Even like I think about the brother that was here in Washington that got railroaded. The running back, he used to be the Kansas City's running back coach
from Kansas City, right?
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
It happened so quick. I can't even remember his name, but he was the running back coach. But they railroaded him so quick and so fast. They threw the whole city on his back and buried him underneath it. Never really gave him the tools and opportunity that here it is. What's his name from Atlanta? Arthur Smith comes in, and they basically gave him the keys to the city. So it's questionable. And like you said, today's generation, they're gonna want more. Why one? Why can't we have 10? And they're not wrong for that, because these things, they need to evolve. Just like life evolves, these rules and these things need to evolve. And we're at a point where it's definitely questionable, and moving into another space that's questionable. We talked about this behind scenes. I want to give Sam 5 minutes. We give you 5 minutes because we talked about your boy AD, Mr. Broken Glass. We talked about Broken Glass, Mr. Broken Glass.
Yes,
first
everywhere.
Yes,
I mean everywhere. He just do it everywhere. Now he was supposed to have surgery, then he canceled the surgery. He wants to be out 6 weeks. Like, kind of talk about that, man, because I know you're frustrated. About him. Wanting to max contract. Especially, dude, you can't stay healthy. So. Talk about this. I want to give, and everybody put your hands, and arms around, because Sam right now, he's a Mavs fan, and he's really having a hard time with AD and the shit that he's doing over there. So Sam, take it away.
Well, okay. I'm gonna talk about AD, but I'm gonna talk about a lot of these veteran NBA players because they're the highest paid out of all. I mean, minus baseball, but that's a give or take. But like, look, Mr. Glass, Anthony Davis, ever since his days of old in New Orleans, when he was a Pelican, has been plagued with injuries for a very long time. Now he's in his low to mid 30s, and you're telling me that if there is a team, like when he came over there and he said that he wanted to stay with Dallas, however, he wants a max contract. And when we're looking at max contracts, they're averaging like 230 mil for like a 4-year, 4 or 5 year deal. Like, that's, to me, that's preposterous, because I don't even know if you're even going to be suited up for, I'll be lenient, like 35% of the season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just look at the injuries that he had. He came into the 2025-2026 season already injured with an eye injury. In between that, he ended up getting a groin injury. Then he tweaked his doggone ankle. Then he ended up having another groin injury. Now he has this hand injury that required surgery, and I know the only reason why he's probably not opting into surgery right now is because his stock value is lowered, and the trade talks are already in the mix. I have a problem with Paul George when he went to the Clippers and how stagnant. And we talked about this before last season, I believe. He spent more time on his goddamn podcast versus him sitting here and actually being on the court. And it's kind of the same thing in Philly too. Like, and I get it because of how vast the media, the main money with the NBA comes from, like, the media market, and it's because they're spread out so far. They can sit here and they can slap these max contracts on athletes, but when is enough? When is, like, the productivity is like way down, but we're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to athletes who don't even want to suit up. We have athletes currently that's complaining about the length of the season with 82 games. Like, that's too long. It's too much work, and it's like, back in the 90s, we had 100-game seasons, and they just kept on reducing it. Now a lot of players come over here and they sit here and they get smart, and now we have, like, the work rest method or whatever, and I blame Popovich for that down there in San Antonio.
San Antonio,
but that's kind of what we're doing to the league right now. So, like, I feel like stock value of the league is just declining because you barely have your stars on the court, but yet we're maxing out the cost of popcorn, tickets to go to a game,
everything.
We talked about how you have to have 8 subscriptions in order to try to follow your team, and we haven't even talked about blackout zones in order to sit here and actually watch your favorite team play ball. So, like, if you're getting paid all this money, just show up on the court, get a good diet plan, i.e. Zion Williamson, go ahead and get a good diet plan and be on the court. Get a good stretching coach, conditioning coach, whatever the case may be. AD gets Robitussin, put it on your knees and your doggone wrist so you can sit here and prevent injuries and everything. But I'm just like, come on, man. Like, it's, and I get it. At least with the NFL, we have 17 games within the season. Weeks, but those 17 games are hard. Them dudes go out there and they play that ball, and I feel like you get more of your money's worth within those 17 weeks than the 6-7 months that we have for an NBA season. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like,
should they be penalized then, though?
Yeah.
Should they be penalized though?
I do, absolutely.
In game or whatever they call it, whatever, I forget what they call it, but like the Kawhi Leonard syndrome. I see you, Cliff. What'd you say?
What is that? That's the load management. Right?
Load management, yeah. Like, I mean, should they be penalized?
Right?
Because I know that, like,
load management.
Was talking about, like, I get pissed
off. Listen, if you're hurt,
you're hurt. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But you not want to play a back-to-back because you had knee tenderness the night before or whatever you came back from, then maybe you just weren't ready to come back. Then maybe you should have stayed out until you were 100%. But, like, I get mad at it because, and I agree with, like, with the max contract. That's why I'm going to the game. So if we here in DC and I want to see Kawhi play, I don't want to buy my ticket. And then when I go and I show up, Kawhi, he in street clothes. Ooh, shit! What the hell I bought my ticket for? I could have stayed at home and watched this.
In the press box chilling.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Perfect example. I think Trae Young's ready to play.
Oh, I really do.
I think he's able to play. However, if he gets on that court and they start winning, now the Knicks get their draft pick.
So even with that, the whole Trae Young thing, Trae is not going to play this year. It's two things happening.
Right.
So he's what I think he's maxed on his contract. It's a 2-year deal. He's going to sit. He's going to get 100% healthy. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to redo his contract so that they can shave off that money. I think he's like $35 or $36 million a year. They're going to shave some money off so they can go out and get another max player. You understand what I'm saying? So it only makes sense though. He don't play.
Yeah.
We redo his contract. We get some additional money, and then we can go out and get another max player to play alongside him. And then this way, he doesn't get hurt. And then, like you said, we don't give up no picks. to the Knicks or nobody. You know, because if they win,
Mm-hmm.
you know, X amount of games and they not in the lottery, that pick is gone. It's not protected no more. So, you know,
But
they
look
know
what
what they're
happened.
doing.
People started going to get tickets.
Yeah.
People went to Capital One,
Well,
started going buying
again,
tickets like you was going to play the next day.
look, I'm not gonna
You
lie.
know?
I thought about it. I was like, damn, I should go get me some tickets now. But then again, when I heard this Negro ain't playing, he's not playing no time. He's not playing no time this season at all. Now, next season, what I think about it, depending on what moves they make, because I said it before, and I said it here on the show. I think the Wizards actually have some talent. I think people overlook
Yeah, they
them
do.
because they think it's a place where you come to die, you know, which at one point it was. But I think they got some talent now that they can go out and actually be competitive and win some games. And I think Trey is going to be the catalyst of it.
They thought that's how Detroit Pistons was. Send them over to Detroit to die. And now
there was a time.
You know what
there
I
was
mean?
a time. There was a time that, you know, that certain cities that was the
See,
case.
they got all them young guns over there in Detroit, though.
They run it.
Yeah, they
They
do.
run it. You know what I'm saying? So
But Sam, check it out. The low management is don't use low management and say you're trying to get healthy. Then you're on TikTok doing the Chris Brown challenge. That's crazy. Back them up.
But this is what they do.
This
is what they do.
And like I said, that's what makes me upset, though. Like, you know, like, and I get it. It's so many spaces in today's world that we could be in. You know what I'm saying? Like, even us, all of us, we all got jobs, and here we are right here. But like, your main bread and butter, my guy, is to be on the court. Not to be in the podcast, not to sit here and be doing TikToks, not to sit here and be goddamn streaming on Twitch, because that's another source of revenue. But you're focused more on that, but you're not even focusing on your doggone craft. That's where I get pissed off at. You know what I'm saying?
$60,000 an hour.
They make more. Yeah. Like, them on the court, them sitting on the bench, they make more than us. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like it's disingenuous, and it's a disservice to the fan base that you have out there too. Or, you know, even with your local fan base, like you said, Dame, like, you know, if Golden State's coming in and they playing the Wizards or whatnot, like, I want to see Steph. I want to see doggone Clay, you know, and Kuminga and everybody else that they have on that squad. But when you hear like all 5 starters ain't showing up for a doggone game, like, how disheartening is it? I feel like that's like a slap in the face. And
it is, and I can't get my money back.
Playing the Wizards and
at all,
the record that they're on and everything. Yeah,
I can't get my bread.
It pisses me off. You know, I feel bad for these small markets that's actually looking forward to that revenue. And now they can't even sell tickets because they're looking at the team that's coming in, and half them jokers not even, you know, suited up to play. So it's unfortunate.
Well, we're gonna put a pin on that one, and we're gonna transition real quick because I do want to get into the meat of tonight's subject, but I do want to get into one thing. Last week, I was out here running my mouth. And man, Sam's, well, look, I'm just gonna play the clip, man. Carolina, hey, congratulations, but pack your bags and stay home because you're not going anywhere. Pack it up. Pack it up. You guys are not going anywhere. You're not going nowhere. For real. All right. So it boils down to, and we talked about this early on, Sam. It leaves the Rams and the Bears, right?
Yeah.
I do not buy Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams for me is like a package of bad meat. He's going to get you sick. Somewhere along, he's going to get you sick. I'm sorry. Pack him up. Pack him up. Get rid of him. The Rams
in the playoffs, he hasn't felt that playoff.
Bad meat, man. He's got listeria, Ebola. He's just pack him up. Get him out of here.
Listen, him and that fingernail polish was getting busy. Him and his fingernail polish was getting busy.
For the better part of 3 quarters, I was good. So I'm going to lean into Sam on this.
No, ain't no. It was we. All right, let's go ahead and be clear on that.
Well, okay, we was good for 3 quarters.
We was good.
And then, you know, the whole thing just blew up. So and I'm throwing this to you for as a Packers fan, like, and I want to give you a second to decompression
Yes.
and really the big issue, going down and looking back at that game and moving forward for you, like what are the issues you think that the Packers really should address and learn from this cataclysmic fall off? Because I ain't gonna lie, there was one point I even stopped watching the game uh, until I got hit. My
Hmm.
man, like, yo, you watching this? Another friend of ours was like, yo, you watching this? And I turned it back on, and I was just like, oh shit. So, what do the Packers need to do, man, to get this righted for next year?
Oh man, I wish I had some of my Green Bay gear with me while I'm out here in Chuckalissa, Mississippi, but I don't. Hey, look, we were talking about it behind the scenes. I feel that Green Bay should have parted ways with Matt LaFleur. And granted, he's been with the team for 7 years, but just think about what's been happening over the 7 years. And granted, like when you look at it on paper, right? Um, 6 out of the 7 seasons, he's made it to the playoffs. Good. Within those 7 years, he has made it to the NFC Championship as well, too. Kind of limping in. I think that was back in 2020, I want to say. Um, However, you just look at what happens throughout the course of the season, as far as like injuries and everything. Real spotty second halves, and that's exactly what happened this game right here. Doggone Green Bay self-destructed this second half. Defense was on point, and that's what I don't get. I got a text whether or not Green Bay was going to win, and I said that Chicago was a really good second half team. But I really feel like with this, like Green Bay forgot what the hell they were running the first half of the game. It just sat here and threw that playbook, all out the window and everything. And this was the result that we get. And I mean, even when I think about like last year too, same thing happened when we played against San Fran. Like we were going toe to toe with San Fran, and then you get to the fourth quarter and everything just buckles down and everything. And it's as
Yeah.
a Packers fan, it's just exhausting. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I know that, Dame, you said that you wish that you could be invited to the dance the way, like Pittsburgh has, or when you look at Green Bay and
Yeah.
everything. It's one thing to get invited to the dance. It's another thing when you don't even make it through the door. And that's what's been going on with Green Bay over the past 7 years. So I feel like there should be some type of change right there in that mix. And I was hoping, I was looking forward to that John Harbaugh movement, but now we don't have it. Now I have to sit here and wait to see, what's going to happen with the defensive coordinator. If somebody's going to come in with the tools that you have. I mean, you have Michael Parsons. Hopefully, we'll get a healthier Xavier Williams or McKinney.
I
I don't know why they kept it. I don't know.
It baffles me too. And like, especially when we're talking about an extension, like, maybe give him the 7-year option and see what happens. And if he's really going to change, I don't believe in an extension. I don't think that he's warranted an extension on the team. Like I said, I would have cut him off. He would have been still in doggone Chicago along with Brian McManus. You know what I'm saying? When the bus pulled off, both of them would have still been at the bus depot or whatever. And I would have just parted ways, like, don't worry about it. Your box is already packed up. We'll send them to your home of residency and call it a day. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how you feel?
But,
yeah.
Now I got to sit here and doggone pack up my stuff as far as my Green Bay gear until doggone August and September and try to get motivated again.
You can send it to me. I got room in my closet. I put it with the Giants gear.
I'm just like, how do you go from being second? Yeah, how do you go from being second in an NFC division to a 5-game losing streak, kind of similar to another team?
Yep.
In the NFC East, but you go on this doggone losing streak, and then you go into the playoffs and you lose too. So, like I said, I would have got rid of him, and I'm off my high horse now.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you that. I wanted to give you that reprieve. I wanted to give you that, as we transition, into the meat of, what we were really, here talking about, because we're talking about the impact of Black culture in sports, right? And how that has impacted what we've seen through these playoff games, through these coaching changes. Your man AD, wanting the max contract. All of these things kind of play into that black culture, community, and power. But I want to get a little more specific because a lot of times, and there was a time where there was this buzzword of black excellence everywhere you turn. Black excellence had become a thing, and I felt proud at the time because I had did a show actually, and Cliff with my advertisers, my sponsors. Cliff was a sponsor on the show, and Michelle Riddick. Shout out to Michelle Riddick and Riddick Entertainment, and some of the other sponsors. It was Black Excellence, really highlighting, our small gems, small business owners that are out here really impacting our community. But now in today's world or today's forum or culture, do you guys, and I want to start with you, Cliff, do you feel that it's become more of a pressure than a celebration in our community?
It, it's on what they're putting pressure on these celebrities, and a lot of these celebrities are already showing love to the community. They're just not
Mm-hmm.
broadcasting it. So it's
Right.
like they're
Right.
getting pressured to be on a certain level with supporting the community. Like what is actually supporting the community, right?
Mm,
Why is there different levels? So if I'm doing my own charity events in certain towns here in Northern Virginia, but I'm not in the capital of Virginia of Richmond doing it, does that mean that I'm not
mm,
giving it all, or does that mean I'm not really uh, giving everything to my community, or really doing all that I can? Why do I have to do it on the realm that the public or the
mm,
media wants me to do it at?
mm,
You know what I mean? If it's about supporting the community, it shouldn't matter what community you want to support. Why does it have to be on a high level? There's towns that people probably never even thought of in Northern Virginia that celebrities
mm-hmm,
are taking care of. But because they're not taking care of your communities in your major cities, oh, now they want to talk about them. And yeah, that's pressure. That's pressure on them,
mm-hmm,
you know?
mm-hmm. I like that because I like to think that you're right. What I may be able to do here, we live here in Northern Virginia in the Occoquan Woodbridge Lake. What I that impact is really solely for here because this is where I reside. It doesn't mean it's any less or any greater than where Sam may be in Harrisonburg. It's still Virginia, right? And I think that's really for me. This question was pivotal because I in my mind, at least I feel and I think that I try to think forward on how can I link communities. I have someone like a Sam in a Harrisonburg. So how can I link communities like where we are in Harrisonburg and bring these things together? Because I'm pretty sure where Sam lives, people look just like us. They're having the same conversations. They're
Mhm.
having the same problems, the same
Mhm.
issues, and they're just looking for a way to discuss it or release it or find something positive in it. And for me, that's where the black excellence is. I don't need a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. I'm far from it. But you do have a voice, and I think that's where the power of the celebration, if you will, comes in is on how you use it, to actually amplify and impact others because it's greater than me. It's
Right.
greater than than all of us. But I think collectively we can do something to continue to push that black excellence. And I'm curious for you, Sam, like for you in your space and where you are, do you think black excellence uh, black excellence has become more of a pressure than a celebration?
Um, I would say yes, that it is more of a pressure. Just for the fact that because of what those expectations are when we say black
Mm,
excellence.
mm,
Um, you know, some might think that we might have to sit here and overachieve just
mm,
to present something that's to be on an equal playing field. and that kind of puts us in a bind as far as like expectations versus reality. And not only from the outside, but even within our own, footprint and from our own peers and everything, that makes it more difficult when you have certain functions or you have a product. So I think it does become challenging, and then it's even more pressures on ourselves because and we already have in our mind that we're in a no fail space. You know what I'm saying? So it just makes it more challenging when you're sitting here just trying to get by as a whole. So I think that's where the difficulty is at when it comes to black. It's not. I don't think it's celebrated as much just because of the expectations that people have when you bring up that and looking at when you kind of look at some of the space of some of our celebrities that fit into that mold of black excellence, and some of the downfalls. And I think that's kind of unfortunate too, because as soon as you bring it up, right off the bat, you do have some folks that's already expecting the downfall when you bring up black excellence, when it shouldn't even be that matter. We should be here prepared to uplift and support each other, when it comes to that factor.
Yeah, those are great points. I mean, I don't know where. Seems like there's a disconnect, and I know community is changing. We are moving into that age or that stage where we're becoming the OGs, if you will, and this generation they move and they think about things differently than we do. And Cliff, you shaking your head. Can't hear you, bro. I think you're on mute.
You muted, Cliff.
Sorry about that. Because I was coming up the mall with my wife, and these YNs was holding the door for me. I was like, "Good looking." They was like, "Oh, no doubt, OG," and it touched me. I looked at Neek, and I was like, "Wow,
right?
Am I there?
Am I there? Right? Am I really there? Right?
Am I there?" But
yeah,
I guess so. I guess
different space, man. A different space. And it's funny, like you talk about, YNs and this younger generation. One of the things we talked about behind scenes in preparation for this was about organized religion in the church. Cliff. And I think this was a great point. Like, I wanted, because you were a preacher's kid. And for those who don't know, I mean, I've known Cliff for a long time. Deeply rooted and deeply spiritual family. But I'm curious for you, like, how do you see spirituality evolving now in Black communities today?
Wow, man, it's to me, I take it to heart, right? Being that my dad, I rest his soul, being a pastor my whole life, right, and watching how he conducted church and how his style was, has always been from day one, come as you are, right? So many different rules, and I don't want to, start dissecting different religions of you. You're not going to come for me tonight, but you know what I mean. But he was the type that come as you are, and what's in the Bible. If it's not in the Bible, don't create your own rules, right? There's only all right, because that's what we was taught by. What we went by was the Bible. So when I see back when we was growing up, you had to dress a certain way, right? You couldn't say certain things, right? You couldn't hang with certain people, So it was like there was rules on top of getting your spirit right. And at the end of the day, it's about getting your spirit right. And the young people today, they are hip to it. They grasp onto it. Listen, the church I go to, my pastor is way younger than me. I say way younger than me. I got them. I'm talking about they're like 30, fresh 30.
Right.
I just turned 49. So what that teaches you is that, first of all, you're not too old to learn something new.
Learn something. I agree.
Okay. And that's what, as we was growing up, if somebody's older than you, they automatically have the wisdom.
Right.
But wisdom and learning new things is two different things. You have wisdom because of time, of experience of what you've been through, right? But you could still be taught something.
That's
And
right.
the younger generation understand that. The younger generation, they love God, they love church, but you're not going to tell them they have to wear a three-piece suit every Sunday.
Mm,
They're
mm,
gonna say why,
right.
right? Does it say in the Bible I'm gonna go to hell if, or whatever the
If I
case may
don't,
be,
right, right,
if I don't wear a three-piece
right.
suit? So the younger generation started
Hmm.
challenging the older generation of, like, basically I said, come as you are, and what's wrong with that? And
Right.
this is how we're going to do it. We don't have to go into a standardized church with the cross at the door. We
Yeah.
online doing it now.
We
We have
online.
schools doing it now. I could
So
go
you
on,
know what
man.
though?
This is
I know you can, but it just makes me think because it's funny, like because me and the wife was having the same conversation. How things change, but and this is not to knock any younger person who may be watching this now, listening now, catch this on the playback, whatever it may be. But there is a thing, and again, maybe it's just because we come from that cloth. How you present yourself a lot of times is how people are going to, or they are going to assume you to be, right? You don't have to come to church in a three-piece suit to go have a conversation with God. My God, same thing as you. Come as you are. But in the reality of the world that we live in, you are judged by how you appear, right?
mm,
Whether that be at church, whether that be at work, and I'm going to give you a story as to why I say this. And this is it's real simple thing. I used to go to this 7-Eleven every day. Every day in the morning, I'm dressed, I'm going to work, I'm dressed, I'm buttoned up, boom, I'm in my zone, my work zone, my professional guy. Hey, hi, how you doing? Hey, you need it real nice. Okay, on the weekend, I go in there one time on the weekend. I got my sweats, hoodie on, cap on, whatever. And he's following me around the store until I pull my cap back and my hoodie off. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't recognize you." No, what
mm.
you recognize was my appearance, right? So I'm just saying that, like, where's the fine line? Because there's no right or wrong in this, But I just throw it out there listening to you because our kids get on with the flip flops and pajamas on when they flying on the plane, when they travel,
With the
like, oh,
Crocs, with
with
the
the Crocs
Crocs.
on, right? You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a judgment thing, right? You're being judged on how you could be the richest person in the room. A white person can do it. Just call it what it is. But you do it, there's a stigma behind it. And I don't even know, like, is there an answer to this? Like, is there a middle ground? Like, is there a way to fix this? And I see Sam got that rock. I want to go ahead. I want to give it to you. And I see you leaning because you probably
Oh
thinking. So
no,
I
no,
want
no,
to.
no, 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 no. Uh, I'm not trying to ruffle no feathers with this because it's I think you hit it the most. This is a tricky topic, and
It is.
Mm.
It is.
the only reason why I say that is because like I grew up in a traditional church family. My dad's currently a pastor. My
Mm-hmm.
mom was heavily devoted, Christian and everything. And I went through different cycles of my church experience. Um, and I even think to this day of um, like if you want to keep the foundation of the church there, it's just like with everything else, like eventually, I'm not saying fully adapt to the times, but like you have to make sure that you cater your message,
Mm-hmm.
to a younger crowd because we were raised, I feel like we were raised differently. I've been in churches when it's been about all fire and brimstone, and if you don't do
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, you're going straight to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been in other churches where the message was still the same, but it was like a little bit more relaxed. So, and like we said before, in this day and age, everything is kind of simplified. So, how do I take the word and simplify it to a message that could cater to, the younger generation to keep them more involved and active and make sure that their faith is still intact? I think those are
Mm-hmm.
some of the challenges that a lot of churches deal with because they're still more on your traditional way of getting that message across. And I think it's doing more harm than good, in certain circumstances. So I'm just trying to make sure that I tread lightly with this
Yeah.
conversation.
No.
because I know
It's
a
a,
couple of
it's
No,
a
I'm
seasons
telling
ago
difficult
you.
one.
I
Yeah,
deep
no, you're
dived
right.
It's
in.
a difficult one.
Yeah,
It's a difficult one.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, it's good to
Mhm.
hear that you have a 30-year-old pastor, you know, in the church because he could speak that language that might be, I don't want to say that's uncomfortable to us, but it's just going to sound a little bit outdated. So when you look at that
Right.
younger crowd, you know, they're going to get it across, but it's going to be kind of like corny, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But they could be
And here's the
more
thing, Sam.
relatable. And once again, like go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, well, all I was
No, no,
going to
no, no,
say
no.
is if 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 you're still learning, if you could still learn from the message, I don't
Mm.
care how old you are
Right.
because
Hmm.
I'm getting that lesson that I needed to learn.
Hmm.
Right now, to your point, once you get to
Right.
that point, like, all right, already been there, done that, already understand that. Now you need some teachings from maybe somebody older that's been through something that you haven't been through yet. Right. But as long as you could keep
Right.
learning, who is the judge?
Mm. Yeah, and I think
Right.
that's the perfect
Right.
mindset, and I think that falls into what V is saying. Like most traditional older churches, and I think we can speak to this. Are steeped in some double standards and some hypocrisies, right? Especially as you try to transition and meet today's youth and today's young men and women, right? Because look, like Sam said, the fire and
Right.
brimstone. If you're gay, you're gonna burn in hell, and a lot of these different things. But then again, though, my God, though, is a forgiving God. So you have a lot of these hypocrisies and
Hmm.
things that are really steeped in the values of these older churches. But today's society and today's world has evolved past that. And I think, like what Sam was saying with Clifford,
Right.
you having a younger pastor who may be more in tune with what today's youth and what today's younger society is dealing with. He may be able to reach out and connect with them, but still teach you as the older person, the older member of the church, that
Right.
some of these ways
Right.
are uh invalid now and need to be looked at in a different light. And
Yeah.
thank you, V. That was a great point. And like I said, this is a great topic,
Yeah.
and I was really
Perfect
moved by it.
example, if I could.
Go ahead.
Yeah. One example that I have is I used to be part of the music ministry in church and
Hmm.
everything. And
Me too.
when I was younger, like I was a choir director, you know, played the drums, played the keyboard, and all that good stuff. And you know, I think about the culture shift, right? And like I look at um, the you're more at the time because we're talking about the 90s, but I think about some of your music ministers that came out as far as like Hezekiah Walker, John P. Key,
Mm.
Kurt
Hmm.
Franklin, prime example.
Hmm.
And came to the point like our church started emulating a lot of Kurt Franklin and the family music, you
Hmm.
know, with our ministry and everything. And I think about the elders of the church that I was at, how they used to frown upon that like so much. You know what I'm saying? Because they
Mm.
felt like you're getting to that point that you're looking at kind of like secular music and everything.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
didn't even want us to perform that in the church. But once they saw second and fourth Sundays, which was when the youth choir performed, and
Hmm.
just the crowd and the influx of parishioners that would come into the church, now all of a sudden it's like, you know what, that ain't bad. But
Ain't
the
too bad.
message was
Yeah.
still the same because you're still praising God and all that stuff. But
That's
because
it.
it's not, we're
That's
not
it.
singing, and no disrespect, I'm not over here singing doggone Negro spirituals and everything and frowning
Spirituals.
upon
Yeah.
it and everything. But like you
Yeah.
said, like you know, you're still giving that praise and you're still honoring him. So like, don't
Mhm.
knock it. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of feel like
Yeah.
that's where the word is at. And back to what V was saying, I think that's kind of some of the issues that you do have sometimes is that, you know, some churches speak one language as far as like what the word and how we should abide by it. But you look behind the scenes and it's like, are they walking that same path that they're instructing you to do? And that's
And
where you
and
have the
that
challenge. And then once you get those flaws, yeah, that's the big issue right there. Like,
I was gonna,
are you
that's
really
the issue.
walking that straight path that you're sitting here and you trying to chastise me on. You know what I'm saying? Or are you that
Right.
pastor that has a wife and a girlfriend on the side and all that stuff? That's where you have that conflict at. And I'm not putting it past nobody, and please don't get it misconstrued, but the young folks see this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They sit here and that's the image that they have now. So then that's when you have all those questions that come into play. And then that's when you have that conflict when it comes to religion. Like what are we speaking? You know, I got this person in front of me and they're not even doing what they're supposed to. So why should I walk this path too?
And that's where it get to me, that's where it gets funky because you know, it's not about church anymore. It's about the person, right? And
Right.
you what I've come to learn is when I go to church, because I don't have a church home anymore, and really it's part of the reasons what we're talking right here is the person. And I've had to come to learn that that man or that woman is just the messenger, just the vessel, right? They put their pants on just like I do. They're flawed just like I am. But I find the days that I go and the times that I go, the message that I hear, and that's the part we're talking about here that's most important. You need to get the message. And I find the times that I've gone, that pastor was talking to me directly. I was supposed to be here on that day, that time to hear that message.
Right.
And once you get past that, because you know, being so steeped in tradition, like V said, and having church homes and growing up in the church, you know, a lot of times we idolize these men and women. We put them on pedestals at times. But I've seen Pastor at the club last night. I seen Pastor with first, wasn't the first lady, it was the second deacon's wife. You know, so all of these different things, right? Yeah, and it goes on. It goes, but they're human, right? And this is the part. So
That part. That's the thing. They're human.
They're human, right? So it becomes you go get your message, you go get fed in the word on what you need, because that's really what it's for, and you take it for what it's worth, and don't go any further. And you know, we're talking about, you know, so much about Black culture and community. I do want to take a second just to transition, because then there's another side to not only our culture and our community, but then there's politics, right? We deal with politics in our community at different times, and we're going through another cycle. You know, whether people realize it or not, the current electorate of officials, it'll soon be coming to an end. You know, even though the current president is only going into his second year, the cycle still continues. And really, after 2024 election cycle, you know, there seems to be, in my mind, in my opinion, a lot of political gridlock. It's a lot of back and forth, and we kind of come to a stalemate. Now, I want to get specific and ask you guys, and anybody want to jump in, feel free. But do you think Black voters are finally at a point where they're ready to build a legitimate movement, or maybe a third movement or party, you know, moving forward as we get into this next election cycle, you know, 2025 and 2026, and the presidency moving forward? You know, do you think it's time, and are we at that place yet? And anybody can jump in on this one.
I think they've been ready. My thing is who has the heart to actually step it up and keep it going, right? And then who's going to follow? Who is going to follow? Because you got to have followers, right?
So okay, so what this and that, because the reason why I found this to be I got this conversation from someone else, because who are our Black leaders today, right? And who are we following? Because like I love how you said, so you think we've been ready, and I agree with you. I think to a degree, many of us are ready, but who is that
But
person?
who? Yeah.
There was a time you could go down there, you could run 5, 6, 7, you know, Black leaders' names, and say, you know what, I can probably get behind that. But who is it today? Because me personally, I struggled with this one, because for us to make a movement or have a movement or have even our own party and create our own seat at the table, I don't see anybody that I'm going to throw my name in behind and say, you know what, that's the guy or woman that I want to get behind. And I agree with you, but like I'm just throwing that, like who is it? Who's
No,
available?
you're right. You're right. Remember when back in, I mean, in our
Right.
day, they used to be leaders on each block
Look, it was
giving
like yo, they
messages,
was on the
right?
corner.
And
They
you
was on
can
the
pick them
corner,
up.
right?
Right. Yeah. Now it's that's a good question.
And that's why I only throw it out there because I want us to see that I feel we're at a space where we watch what happened with Biden, we see what's happening with Trump, and for so long, we talk about creating our own space, and I think one financially we're in a even though we're not really where we think we are, but we're in a better space financially to create our own movement and create our own space. But if we don't
And
have the
then that's
leaders to
crazy. That's what's crazy because there's a lot of black business leaders. So I can give you some name as far as business leaders that's
but
out there
are
leading
they
the
doing it
pack.
politically
But
though?
right, that's the
Mhm.
whole thing. That's
And
the whole thing.
Chance,
It has to
I think
transition.
that's
it has a transition. Yeah.
yeah. So so ideally, yes. I think that we're prepared. Structurally, no, because you hit it on the money. Like, who are we going to sit here and lean on to be that voice for us? And it's hard with the current two-party system that we have because when you look at both sides of the line, like they claim that they have our best interest as part of their views, but then like when do we reciprocate it? Damn near
Hmm.
never. You know what I'm saying? So it's really
Right.
just a ploy to sit here and just get the vote, and then you see what happens throughout the course of that tenure, whether it's a 2-year bid when it comes to your term or a 4-year bid when they're in office. Like, we don't reciprocate any of it. They just got our vote. So I think that that's where the challenge is at. I think numerically, just because we are still the minority, it will even become more of a challenge. You know what I'm saying? To sit there and you know, do we have enough votes? Do we even vote enough?
Mm,
Because it's fighting
mm,
tooth and nail just to get us to the office or get us down to the polls and vote from the beginning. So
hmm.
do we have that support to sit there, and get those votes to turn in to actually create that third party system? You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
You got the independents, and it is what it is.
right.
I don't know. I just think that they're like hippie Democrats to begin with and all that stuff. So you kind of meddling the field. So it's like, I think that's a very valid question. Like, who will we put there to actually get that buy-in to get more of a turnout and
Hmm.
and basically put that power within the vote to go ahead and disrupt the whole system.
Yeah. I thought it was a great question. And right now, I think we're all in agreement. Uh, we don't have a gentleman or a woman that we can identify with at this point in time. But I think it really needs to be. We need to really work harder and focusing on ourselves. Then, and this is just me. I'm not saying don't vote. And you brought up a great point. You have independents, you have the Green Party, you have the Socialist Party, the Nationalist Party. The only thing I will say that I have a problem with our system is our system only shows you two parties,
Mm.
and we have to take because there
Mm-hmm.
are some Green Party. Look, I've voted some other parties, and only because I wasn't happy with what was being presented to me as the status quo. But I think people really need to, and this is where we as people educate ourselves. Let's start getting behind some people, whether it be, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just using as a name because she's very out in the forefront, Jasmine Crockett or someone of that nature. Get behind these
Yeah.
people and start supporting their cause and what they're doing, and doing that though, and ask her though, and this is where I think a lot of people ask her to give back, help educate us on the things from her experience
Yeah.
and what she sees in office on what we as citizens should be doing and what should we be asking other political
Facts.
leaders and different things. I think to me, and this is just me thinking out the box, I think that's the first step in the give and take. if you have a representative like that that's willing to do that, because she's always putting herself out on the line for a lot of things, and I'm just using her as an example. I don't think there's enough political parties either, and I think we need to move away from the media. They give you the same 12 people, seem like every election cycle. It is the same regurgitated people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean just because they've been in office doesn't mean that they're the right person. There's other people out here. So I think we need to expand it. The whole thing needs to be uh retooled and relooked at. Um, but I wanna go a little bit further in the political realm, because in that we've had so much, talk about police reform, from what we've seen in the horrors and the tragedies, of George Floyd, the Breonna Taylors, and let's just fast forward even now, the unfortunate death of another woman in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with the ICE situation. You know, it seems like we're failing as a community, as law enforcement. Somehow, police reform is stalling. There's a breakdown, right? Should we as a community look to invest more in self policing, or trying to create our own economic initiatives, justice initiatives with some businesses in the community, putting money behind it? Like, should we start looking into our own change or forms of change instead of continuously waiting on the system to make the change?
I mean, it's
That's
funny you
tough.
say that, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
funny you say that
Mm-hmm.
because if you look right now, if you see on TV or on social media, because I was too young back in the day, but now I'm seeing the new movement of the new Black Panther movement. And I don't
Mm.
know if you guys have
Yeah.
been seeing it in different cities, but
Mm-hmm.
it's here. It's
Mm.
here, it's live, and it's real, right? And since the generations are so different, the way that they are expressing themselves, and when you hear them, you know, you young, so you understand what Black Panthers was about, right? You
Yep.
grew up,
Yep.
you learned about them, but this new Black Panthers is like they talk about how they want to join forces with police, but it's to protect our peoples. It's to protect the Black community. It's to protect the minority community. It's to stop ICE from just rolling up in people's businesses and just manhandling people.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
So it's not like, when I was young, when I was growing up, I just heard like, Panthers just want to kill the police if the police is coming in the hood violating. But
Right. Right.
it's so much more than that, right? How they are really looking out, feeding their community, clothing their community. They're
Mm-hmm.
just letting you know some of their rules on how to protect yourself from um, crooked law enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding your rights. So they're giving you education, they supporting the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they're protecting and teaching you how to bear arms legally.
Legally.
So yeah, legally. So it's very interesting, right?
Mm.
And being in the industry that I'm in, and working with the public, I really, really always have to watch the type of words that I choose on my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and my beliefs and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, um, but there's certain things that I see, if it's going to protect our peoples from what we've been through,
Right.
and uh, um, I'm for it.
You for it.
I'm
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what say you, Sam? I know it's a question that puts us all in a weird space. It's a difficult question. It's an awkward question. Uncomfortable. Not even awkward. Uncomfortable. So I'm curious to hear
Right.
your thoughts on it.
I say yes, but then there's challenges that go along with it. And the key thing is, what resources can we obtain and what
Mm.
resources can we sustain while we're trying to achieve that certain level. Because as soon as us as a community sit here and say that we want to self-police, then what, like, state and federal assets are going to be removed, and then now you risk things becoming kind of lawless when it comes to those territories. So I think that's in like what backings are we going to have too within our peers or those who have more than others to sit here and establish these foundations too. I think that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult to move forward with a movement like this, and you look at it now, something bad happens within the neighborhood or a community, police show up, don't nobody want to say anything. You know what I'm saying? Those are some of the challenges that we deal with, already. Like, are we going to be able to check one another, when it comes to certain items like that? So, like you said, it just raises a lot of questions. I don't think that we're positioned at this point to do that. Hopefully, if we could get things together, and like I said, it's all about establishing that foundation and growing up or moving up. Are we going to be able to do that? Right. I just don't think right now we're in that mode or that space.
Well, I hope eventually we can get to a point where we can become self-sufficient. I feel the Black Panther movement, I don't know, we should call it the rebirth or the re-energized form of the Black Panther. I think that's great. I think where we have some type of our own self-policing and monitoring. But I think we're in a phase now where, again, we've become so much more financially adept at things in our community. How do we branch that out? Like you say, with someone like a Cliff who's insurance, some type of Black banking, some type of Black stores, Black farms, to where we really start and become that force where we don't have to necessarily worry about our youth out in our streets, in our own community. We take those things back and really it's a systematic change, I think, in just getting the mindset of the system to really relax a little bit and let that self-worth, that self-growth, that self-policing and that self-community grow. It's not a threat anymore. It shouldn't be. It should be a thing where you should want to see communities, even though they may not be yours. Because if I'm being honest, you look at a lot of the other places when you go to major cities, there's a Chinatown, there's a little Italy, there's a little Romania. What I'm saying? All of and they all thrive just fine. So why can't we have the same thing? And I hope we get to that. And I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
And we're on the back end, of the show. And before we close out, we're gonna close out with a little fun, and I'm gonna go back to this because again, I got half of this right. So I'm gonna play this clip because it got half of this right. We got to go out and bang, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about college football players real quick. Indiana has, I don't care who you are, you tell me that you saw Indiana as the number one team.
No, nobody.
I did not.
And even last year, with the work that they've done and that they put in, I challenge anybody. And this is like a Cinderella story. It's great. It's great for college football. But I'm a trend. I'm just one of those guys. We got away with the old guard. We don't have the Ohio States. We don't have the Alabamas. We don't have the Clemens. This year is one of those years. It's like a magical ride, but a magical ride for a team that Indiana, that they're riding to the top, but they're going to be heartbroken at the altar. And it's going to be by a team from past glory that's going to be so coked up with, with Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis out there giving us the bird and coming through. I'm telling you, this is like the perfect scenario for Miami and Oregon to battle it out in the championship game. And I'm going with Miami because to me, Miami is the trend this year.
Yo, Sam, he was standing on that, Sam, wasn't he? Yo, Sam,
hey, look.
Yo, Cosmo was standing on that. Yo, what?
I'm here.
Feel it.
I'm here.
Feel it when he was standing on it.
I'm here. Y'all know nothing about it. I'm here. I got half of it right. I should have blacked out the Oregon part. But I'm here. Because Sam called it. He was right. You both act. They steamrolled Indiana they look like a Mack truck out there right now. So now, and then when I was talking trends, part of that I left out was that, and I meant to throw the game is actually in Miami. It's a home game for Miami. It's at the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
All things being considered, on paper, Indiana's a Mack truck, but just because it's Miami and at home, I'm still standing on that. But I want to give you gentlemen opportunity now that we know what we're looking at in the championship finals. Do you feel any different? Is there any concerns or whatever? Or are you sticking? Because Indiana's been rolling, can't lie. But do you guys look at this any different now as we move closer to the final?
I'm firm with. Hey, look, Michael Irvin can have the best supplier bring his superiors whites, and he could be on the sidelines with them belts to asses or whatever the case may be. With that being said, I'm still taking Indiana over the Canes.
The best Copalina, right? That's what they call it.
Hey, my man. Like him out there, Ray Lewis, man, they gonna do it. So and we gonna I'm the Miami guy in this. But as we close out though, I think this was a great way to close out because now we have the championship coming up. But we're talking about Black culture and community and power. I can't leave out without talking about Coach Prime. Coach Prime really shifted the culture in 2025. Just coming from even before that, but we making it on the big stage, college stage in Colorado. And then here in 26, like what do you think his legacy will be? Will it be about like wins or will it be more about cultural influence? Because to me, it's a very slippery slope on that question. But I know for me, I know what my answer and my take would be, but I'm curious to hear yours. And whoever wants to jump on it first, feel free.
I'll start it off. Sam can kill it, end it off. I think Dion is bringing he's bringing the culture to an upper level, right? He's also at the same time giving opportunities of visibility, right, to younger athletes. It doesn't matter where he is; he's going to bring the spotlight because he spent so many years developing that, right, to have the spotlight follow him wherever he is. So now he's doing it to show love, to take care of the younger generation, and to give them that spotlight. Look, he went from what black college you went to? What was that?
Yeah,
Jackson.
Jacksonville, yeah. Jackson
Jacksonville
State.
Look what he did there.
Yeah.
Look what he did there. I mean, and then from there, he came over to a bigger state to Colorado and brought some of his peoples with him, right? Brought some of the kids with him. And look what that did. That gave them a bigger national stage, got them to the NFL, right? If I don't think it will happen, but if he did transition to the NFL, I think he's going to do the same thing, just because he built so many years developing that skill, if you want to call it, to have the light follow him in a good way, and he has no shame about it, And as long as he keeps giving it forward, right? Because he's not being selfish with it. As long as he keeps giving it forward, I think he should just keep on performing like he does.
I agree on that. Sam?
Yeah, I think it's a culture movement too. I think about the invitations that he had for other coaches. When you look on the sidelines and everything, and just when you look at when you look at the stadium in Colorado, and his name is bringing that buzz to the stadium. I'm glad to see that he's putting athletes, and it's no knock against like our HBCU colleges and everything, but it's kind of like Dion brought the HBCU experience and those opportunities to a lot of these athletes who don't get the type of shine that they do, especially when it comes to like the NFL Combine and everything. these are
Yep.
doors that Dion is opening, not for himself and those coaches, but for these athletes too, to go ahead and get on that same, field and have that same experience with the hopes of being drafted and everything. So, like, I do appreciate the movement. We still got to keep in mind the wins. Um, but I think
Yeah.
those are, he's going into year 3 over there in Colorado. So, and we talk about conferences all the time. I still feel that the Big 12 is wide open. So there's plenty of
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for Dion to sit here and make that shift and make that push, to be in that talk when it comes to other Power 5 schools that,
Right.
we bring up. So, it's still a process, but, I believe that he has it.
I think we're all in agreement because I'm same thing. I think it's all cultural. But it does become a thing about wins after a while on that level. But culturally, I think he's just bringing so much influence, uh, especially to young men who look like
Mm.
him, and just really helping them develop themselves, not just as football players, but as better human beings. And if you can be a better human being, in my opinion, then you can be a better person in society, and we all benefit from that. So I agree. But real quick, I have to ask because you guys both brought it up about HBCUs. His time being down at Jackson and being at a HBCU, and we're looking at the landscape of sports because the landscape has changed in college football, college basketball. Like all of these things have changed, and just real curious, like for you guys, do you feel or do you think that like some of these top black high school recruits when they're coming out of high school now, should they really start considering HBCUs more as an opportunity now that the power dynamics in the NCAA has really started to shift? Post Super League now, so should they start kind of rethinking their focus on where they want to go and make HBCUs more of a priority?
It's tough. And, I'll start with this. And the biggest challenge that we have is the NIL. HBCUs
Mm.
aren't going to be able to pull out that money and spend that money on these athletes, which I think is going to, you put different programs in a stronghold. You already got to deal with your small colleges, competing with your Texas, your Bama, your LSU. You know what I'm saying when it comes to the NIL. But then you look at HBCUs and they're in a worse spot because some of these athletes are
Mm.
getting millions per year. You know,
Hmm.
um, it just becomes difficult in with funding and everything when it comes to education and everything. It makes it a lot of these schools have like boosters, fundraisers, sponsors that could buy into it. Do these HBCUs have those same opportunities and those same assets to kind of sit here
So
and um, make it more appealing? And once again, like I said, I hate to make it sound like that because it used to be because of the opportunity that's in front of
right.
you, but unfortunately we got dollar signs that go behind it nowadays too, and it makes it more difficult, at least from my perspective. It just makes it
Hmm.
even more of a challenge right there.
Hmm. Good point, Cliff.
From listening to Sam, he's absolutely right. And what would it take? Now we got to go back to your point, Dame, of our black leaders, right?
Mm.
'Cause now
Mm.
there has to be some extra voices out there to bring revenue, to your black historic colleges, right?
Right.
That would help. And then it takes people like your Dion's. It takes more than just Dion. It takes
Hmm.
other leaders and other people that have that type of power, if you want to call it, right? To bring the spotlight to the HBCUs, right? Because
Yeah, good point.
the athletes going to be the athletes regardless.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think now is a good time to do it because it already been started it, but it has to keep going because
Hmm.
it'll die out real quick. Right?
Mm.
It will die
Good
out
point. I
real
mean,
quick if we
they
don't
they
if
both
we
good
don't keep
points.
it going.
Both great points. And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I hear and well. First, I'm seeing and I'm trying to educate myself because I see some of these schools now are are hiring actual GMs now, general managers on college
Hmm.
basketball programs to actually manage the
Yeah.
dynamic of the NIL. So again, I don't know enough of it, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's not totally a bad idea because now you can kind of work it and tweak it so that it actually benefits the athlete and the program, and maybe we can see more fluidity, if you will, across the board. But I don't know enough about it. It's new. I just actually happened to hear about it a couple of weeks ago. But I would encourage, and I've said this before on the show, when it comes to young black athletes, and this is just me, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to use LeBron James as the example. The talent, the cameras are going to find the talent, right?
Mm.
No matter no matter what, they finding them now
Hmm.
at sixth grade, seventh grade, whatever it's going to
Bro,
be, right? So my thing would be as a parent, have because I know coming up, HBCUs weren't they were popular, but they weren't popular in my world. But you should introduce that, especially if you're a talent,
Yeah.
about HBCUs because how we change and even the playing field is if our young stud athletes start committing to HBCUs. Because guess what? If if Sam is the number one recruit, he's the number one power forward, and he decides he wants to go to Morgan or Howard, whatever it is, the cameras are going to follow that. And if the
mm,
cameras are following Sam, then the money is going to follow Sam. Every endorser, everything, Nike, whoever it is going to want to offer Howard money because Sam wears Nike. And his NIL deal is going to grow from that. And I just say, and it goes in football as well. Whoever the best, if Lamar Jackson is the number one athlete and he decides he wanted to go instead of Louisville, he wanted to go to I don't know somewhere in the South, the cameras would have followed, the money would have followed. It's just natural. So I just say that I throw it out there. I think the conversation for our kids should be where do I maximize the most growth for like what we're talking about tonight? My culture, my community, and for us to have the power moving forward, not only in 2026, but beyond. So I'm going to put a pin in it right there. It's been a great conversation tonight. I want to thank all of you. A lot of people in the weeds tonight, feel like dropping a comment on a playback. You watch this, you share this, feel free to drop a comment. Some of these questions I got tonight were from some of you, so I really appreciate you all, tapping in and really rocking with us and letting us know what you want to hear and what you want to talk about. Before we go, I'm gonna go ahead, Sam. You got anything coming up this week, bro, that you want to talk about or share or where our audience
Um,
can find you and follow?
hey, look, I'm currently down in Mississippi. I thought I was gonna get down to the paint out there and check a list. I haven't found it yet.
M-I, crooked letter I.
If y'all don't know that reference, if y'all don't know that reference, that's from P Valley.
That's right.
But I think when I get back home, it's probably going to be a couple of nights of gaming. I was talking to my son and his friends started playing arc raiders again.
Mm.
So you might find me, on the sticks doing some arc raiders and everything. It's a PvEVP, so you're just going on scavengers trying to find gear, trying not to get shot up and make it to the extraction point. Um, Other than that, you just be catching me around. So meet me on
Uh,
Twitch or in
love it,
Discord.
man.
One of the
All
two.
right, and yeah,
Old Sarge
yeah, I
Gaming.
got it. Yeah, I got it right there. That's old Sarge right there. 25-year veteran, gamer, cook, man, co-host of the show. He gets it in down there in Chuckalisa. You know what I'm saying? V said she play Arc right now, Sam. You know what I mean? He out there
Mm.
looking. He out there looking for Mississippi and Diamond and all the rest of them down there. So catch catch Sam.
oh my gosh, man.
Catch him on your favorite platform, Cliff. Man, before we go,
Oh, my gosh.
man, holla at him, bro. Let him know.
You can follow your boy, Clifton. You can hit me up on Facebook, Clifton CJ Durham. Also, you can follow me at TD3 Insurance Agency and Associates. I'm on IG, C_Selly 22. All right. LinkedIn. Holla at me. We have a couple of events coming up for Naya. So if you are um, a Black African American insurance agent in underwriting on the corporate side, please look into the DC chapter, look into Central Virginia chapter. All right, come learn and be part of a organization that will benefit you. All right. Shout out to my wife Janika Durham at Farmers. She had 20 applicants to hire. So looking, if you're an agent out there and you're looking for some employment, we definitely got you over here at TD3 Enterprise, TD3 Insurance Agency, powered by Encore, Durham Insurance Agency. Dame, we're trying to take over the DMV, brother. That's where
Hey
we.
man, listen, right there, yo. Shout out to sis for real though. Like, let her know, man. Yo, big ups to her, and she doing her thing, man. TD3 is doing their thing. If you don't know, check Cliff out. Like he said, man, you can go ahead and follow him. TD3 Insurance Agency, the whole TD3 family. You can catch him, IG right there. TD3 Agency Insurance. He's the founder. He's a mentor. He's a community leader. We blessed to have him right here rocking on the mic with Sam and I each and every Tuesday. And look, keep it real, y'all. Get your business in order. Talk business with Cliff, man. Get your life, your home, your auto, whatever it is you may need, man. Holler at him. Cliff and I are going to be working on some things in the very near future to where we can bring you some in live and in-person events for you to be able to go ahead and build up your prevent your risk and things of that nature, as you go ahead and elevate your business. So stay tuned for that. Ryan, I need whatever you smoking on. I see you watching the Golden Globes and all that. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Keep the energy. I love it. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I am your humble host, Damon Cunningham. You can catch me online at just about anywhere. IG, Facebook, Twitter at Two Mics Up. You can follow us online, www.twomicsup.com. Four-time award-winning show. Look, we keep it real conversation, and real things. Each and every Tuesday night. Yeah, Ryan, you're the only one talking. But yeah, I appreciate you. But thanks for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be back tomorrow night as well. And I'll be joined by Dr. Dana Holloman. We're gonna sit down, man. We're gonna really get into it, man. You got to feel it to heal it. She's gonna sit down, man, and we're gonna get in touch with our emotional side, our mental health, and all of those things that sometimes feel uncomfortable for so many of us. So share that with your circle of friends. It may be something they need to hear tomorrow night with Dr. Dana Holloman. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. right here on YouTube, uh, Facebook, and tomorrow night it'll be LinkedIn. So check it out. And look, as we close, I just want to just kind of leave everybody with a quick note. You know, the truth stands tall in 2026 that Black culture continues to set the rhythm of the world. I don't care what anybody says, what anybody tells you. Believe that you see it everywhere you go, from our art to our activism that we talked about tonight to our business and innovation. Our influence doesn't just shape moments. It really defines legacy. And that's really what we talked about and we tried to intertwine in tonight's conversation. But I need you to remember and just know power without community is just noise. So it's time for us to just stop making noise. It's time for us to go ahead and start putting these things into action. Real power really lives in the spaces where we live and where we lift each other up, where we build and where we heal. And then we need to do those things and create this together. So as we push forward, let's all stay rooted in the truth that our strength has always been within us. I'm your man, Damon Cunningham. This is Two Mics Up. And like we do at the end of each and every segment, I'll leave you with a couple of things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out.
007.